Hello, welcome to The State. On this show, we probe the issues and dig the solutions. We're glad you could join us, and thank you very much for always choosing us. My name is 𝐓𝐕 𝐊𝐚𝐬𝐞ɛ𝐛ɔ. More details soon.
Oh yes, the solution to all your travel needs is here. 𝐼𝐓𝐕 Lodge and Travel Services offers you the opportunity to travel to the following countries: Canada, United States of America, Turkey, Dubai, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Malta, Germany, and other European countries, where skilled workers such as nurses, paramedics, nannies and caregivers, drivers, plumbers, masons, electricians, carpenters, painters, etc. are needed for urgent employment. 𝐼𝐓𝐕 Lodge and Travel Services can secure your Schengen visas with work permits. Individuals, organizations, churches, schools can contact us for their ticketing and hotel reservation, car rental services, international tour packages, travel consultation, visa assistance, and study abroad packages to all countries. We are located at Mr. Bates bus stop opposite the Calvary Baptist Church at Abaka, Accra, or contact us on these numbers: 0544 27 9525 or 0545 622 672 or 0302 237557. 𝐼𝐓𝐕 Lodge and Travel Services, your destination, our pride.
Praise God, praise God. Christ in T, you respond, yeah, addition. I'm excited to announce to you, friends in the Lord, are you seeking for a platform where you can pray? Open baby up a soul bomb pie. Now nyami edi in kitahon. Bibi so. And I'm na the same kum. And you're coming home. Let's go into the prayer room on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. to meet seasoned ministers of God that God has raised to impact your life. Remember, John Wesley said, I have too much to do, therefore I spend several hours in prayer, able to do it. We try and say, that is why we are calling upon you. Meet myself, Reverend Hosea say, and the Evangelism Missionary Renewal Directorate, as we lead you into the prayer room where we encounter Christ. And I believe your life will never be the same. Call your friends, your loved ones, every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. where we will encounter Christ. God bless you. See you on our screens on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. God bless you.
That each and every one of us.
Welcome back. Let us settle for W Briefs. On W Briefs, what we do is to give you a sneak peek into the major topic for discussion for the day. You can call it the executive summary. So bribery, every now and then, it's a household word. Bribery is the act of offering, giving, receiving, or soliciting something of value, or other, typically money, or other forms of compensation. And it is usually with the intention to corrupt the behavior of a public official or other persons in positions of authority. So any act that intends to give or that is bribery. Bribery can be in many forms, and it could be that you are giving cash, or call it cash bribery, gift bribery, or favoritism. These are the, should we say, categories that bribery falls under. Let's look at cash bribery. So cash bribery is direct payment of money to influence decisions or actions. Direct payment of money, cash bribery. Then gift bribery. One offers gift or favor to induce or influence decisions or actions. They bring you a gift with the intention to influence you. We've seen cash bribery, gift bribery, and then favoritism. And favoritism usually comes in the form of giving you preferential treatment. So this preferential treatment is given to an individual or a group of persons in exchange for personal gain. Preferential treatment is for the individual's personal gain. A recent report by the Ghana Statistical Service suggests that corruption and bribery are significant in Ghana's public sector. Very, very significant. The huge issues in Ghana's public sector. The report suggests that approximately 18.4% of Ghanaians who interacted with public officials in 2024 admitted to paying bribes to access essential services. 18.4 who went to a public institution one way or the other admitted that they paid bribes just to get access to the service that they are entitled to. The Ghana Police Service, particularly the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, MTTD, tops the list of corrupt institutions, with 61% of individuals admitting that they paid bribes to the MTTD, surprisingly. General duties of police. So please notice that this is in context. So the Ghana Police Service topped the list of corrupt institutions. Then the MTTD was mentioned. Within the same police, the general duties police, 46.7. Approximately 47% of individuals of those who were surveyed said they paid bribes to police general duties. Then the police CID, Criminal Investigation Department, 37.9 of the respondents said they paid bribes to CID. Then the Traffic Management Authority, or the GATS, again, the respondents said they paid bribes. 34.4% of them paid bribes. The survey took into account regional variations. So which regions or which region do we have most of bribery being paid in the public sector to access essential service. Greater Accra topped 22%. 22% said they paid bribes, or those who paid the bribes are in the Greater Accra region, followed by Ashanti region 18%. Ashanti region 18%. The lowest rates were recorded in the Savannah region, 1%, and then Northeast, also 1.1%, just within the range of. So Accra topped, then the Savannah and Northeast were the list of regions that were given bribes. So most bribes that were given, 75% approximately, so 74.9%, were requested by the public officials, while 17 of the respondents gave the bribes voluntarily. So in about 75% of the people that were surveyed, they said the public officials demanded the bribes. Give me or you don't get the service. And then 17% of them said they gave it to them voluntarily. How many Ghanaians, or how many people who are confronted daily with the challenge of paying bribes to access essential services will report this act? So reporting bribe incident, 14.5% were reported to anti-corruption institutions. Most people dwelling in the urban areas are those who reported that somebody was trying to take bribe from me. But for many anti-corruption campaigners, the reports of the Statistical Service reflect rather a slow pace of progress against the fight for the fight against bribery and corruption. This staggering report, to them, it tells us that the fight is rather at a snail pace. We are not making any progress. In the wake of the damning findings from the Statistical Service governance report, we ask, is the country winning the fight against bribery and corruption, or rather, is there a fight against bribery and corruption? We'll find out. Welcome back. This is The State. It is your favorite current affairs program on Christian television. On the show, we probe the issues and dig the solution. Today, we are considering the report from the Ghana Statistical Service that has made some damning revelations. To some, it's no surprise at all. And then the report says that most people who have interacted with Ghana's public sector have admitted paying bribes to access essential services. So these public sector institutions are to render services, but the people had to pay for what service they were entitled to. On the show, we are going to dig into the report and find out the findings, how it is affecting our life, how it has brought to bear the disconnect between citizens and governance institutions. Of course, we always have the people who matter on the subject area to help viewers and us to appreciate the conversation. We have Omar Seidu. Omar Seidu is the director, social statistics at the GSSC. Omar, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you, and good afternoon to you and
very well. We're glad to have you, and our viewers are stuck and glued to their sets to make sure they understand the report that has been shared. Omar, first off, let's start with you. Of course, you were in the field, your outfit, or if you have heard the reports that have come, were you surprised at the findings, considering efforts that have been made to fight bribery and corruption? Did it come to you as a surprise?
Well, it's naturally will come to everybody as a surprise, especially if you look at the fact that Ghana had adopted the NACAP, National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, a couple of years back, and we know that quite some effort has been put in by state agencies to deal with this issue, and especially in the area of service provision. If people are seeking to receive services from public institutions, the expectation is that they would receive that without having to pay extra for this. And so, yes, it's surprising, but that is not the only thing. And I think for me, one of the most surprising, which is you know, the belief that governance in the country is not responsive and is not inclusive. And these are issues that are of much interest because the potential they may have, we've seen that happen elsewhere. And so once we see this, it is important that we immediately make them available and to engender discussion like you are having today. Yeah, so that's what I...
Very well, very well. I will go into the report, but I am tempted to ask you from where you sit, and responses coming from citizens in the light of how I mentioned the disconnect between citizens and the governance institutions or public sector service renders that must give the service. Is the hope that this trust can be restored sometime, because we have been fighting corruption and bribery for some time now?
You know, the issue in itself, I wouldn't necessarily say that we haven't made progress. Definitely we have, as a country, made some progress. But it is important to situate this whole discussion around how do we build strong institutions and also build a population that would demand accountability from public officials. So SDG Goal 16, which talks about peace, justice, and strong institutions, focuses on that. And it is important to appreciate the fact that citizens sometimes may pay additional money or pay bribes, not because they want to, but because they want to see, you know, the services they are seeking to achieve or to seek from these institutions happen. And so somebody was giving me the example of at a point in time, you know, he had to go to a health facility, for instance, and at that material time, they said there were no beds. And somebody from within the same institution said, look, well, if you talk to this person, he can get you a bed for your patient. And so when such situations arise, you see that in the desperation that a person is in, they are most likely going to yield to that. Then you have the situation where we all drive, you probably are at fault, and the police officer stops you and well, say, I'm taking you to court. In some cases, you see that people would want to offer something to the police officer just to avoid going to court. So it's coming. So it's something that is a whole society issue that we need to deal with. But then I believe strongly that building strong institutions is what will lead to that. When institutions hold themselves accountable and the public also hold these institutions accountable, then we would be winning the fight against that.
I like the bit about structural reforms and also more of an orientation, the mindset, behavior of the people. But there are countries that have really been very intentional about it, where they have introduced anti-corruption laws, especially places like Sweden, Finland, Denmark. It is a zero tolerance. It is punishable. So it links to the structural reforms that you are talking about. Is it just about legal things being put in place, or it must be a social imperative?
I think our problem is deeper than that. And the countries you have mentioned, for instance, in Denmark, they leverage technology in delivering services so much so that the human interface is reduced and the potential for corruption is not there. You are driving and you jam the traffic light, or you do the wrong thing, and the police officer will stop you anyway, but he would send you a ticket which you have to pay. And they know who you are, you know, your identity, your address, where you live, everything is there. But ours is something that I think, even go back to our school, at a basic level, when children have to sit for exams, and every parent wants to see their child pass, every school wants to see the students in their school perform, and to some extent, we support the children through means that should not be. That we are already introducing them to this kind of canker. You go to, our social setting at home. In some cases, the parents, you something for someone, the person comes look for you. You ask the child to go and tell the person that I am not there when you are there. These are all things that lead to, because the child then don't see anything wrong with that. Then as we grow up, the institutions that we establish, we allow so much judgment by individuals, and so when the individual has the opportunity, then they would want to corrupt it. And so if institutional reforms would lead to reducing the interface between the individuals who seek services and those who provide these services, we would be greatly enhancing the institution's capability to internally deal with the issue. Then there will also have to be the will within the institutions, to deal practices like that come to their attention. Because if Mr. A does it and doesn't get punished, then there's no incentive for Mr. B not. And so these are some of the things that we will need to look at. But I strongly believe that it is not just about the public institutions alone, it is also about we, the people of Ghana. We will need to know that, look, these are part of the ways that we have to build our country. And so we need to, as it were, deal with issues that will put additional burden on the individual who is entitled to that service. It's not like we are doing the person a favor.
Let's very well. I was just trying to look at the regional variations. I was buried in the reports trying to find out. Greater Accra, maybe because of the cosmopolitan nature, because it's a bigger city. But so, what could be working for the Savannah region and the Northeast, that they record 1% of bribery as against Accra and Ashanti? What could be working in those regions?
Yes, it's obvious. If, for instance, how many public institutions are stated in those regions? Okay, we don't have a lot of public institutions, and so people may not be coming into contact with a lot of public institutions. That is the first thing. Another thing would be what percentage of the people come into contact with people in terms of the services that they need. For instance, if you look at the police, I'm sure we all know that the concentration of, for instance, the police are in Accra, in Kumasi, and other bigger areas. Savannah region is not as populated as other regions are. So this could be part of it. The third thing, and we have also realized that, for instance, people who pay bribes, the characteristics of those, people with higher education pay more bribes than those with lower education. And so you go to a region like Savannah, you go to a region like Northeast, you might not have a lot of the people with this background characteristics in there. So it is not surprising that regions like that would have lower, prevalence of bribery. And Accra is the heat. That is where the heat is. Everything is done in Accra.
Rightly so.
We popularly call Accra is Ghana, right? And so everybody would want to get the services they want, and if that is what it would take to pay something in addition to what you are officially required to pay, then people will do that. And so these are some of the things that probably are accounting for.
Indeed. Again, the report suggests that 75% of this public sector workers demand the bribe. It's a systemic problem, isn't it?
Exactly. And it was very important for us to know whether the individual who is supposed to provide you the service demanded for that additional payment, or you offered it. And as you rightly said, more than 70% said that you demanded it. And in some cases, the individual demanded it through a third party. And so it means that the individual feels entitled to have some additional payment to provide those services. And I think that is where the problem is. But also note that we have, I think, almost 17% also saying that they offered it, either upfront to facilitate the process or as a thank you, So but I do agree with you that the individuals requesting it is a big problem.
It's a problem.
That shouldn't happen.
It's very worrying, in that now, if you want to access public service, if you just say a verbal thank you, you can't even move out of that office because you feel you have done something wrong. You have committed a grievous offense. Thank you is not accepted, and the next time you come, believe you me, you wait a whole day. A service that is supposed to be given to you in an hour, it will take you days and weeks. So it is not direct communication anymore. Sometimes I enter and I look back. I'm like, must I give you anything before you do what you have to do? It is really ingrained. Viewers, if you are joining us, we are discussing today the fight against corruption. The Ghana Statistical Service has released a report that suggests that most Ghanaians have admitted to paying bribes at one point in time to access essential services. It is worrying. Anti-corruption campaigners are worried and saying that it reflects that the fight against corruption is rather at a low pace. Progress is not being made. And we asking today on the show, is there really a fight against the corruption? Why has it become ingrained in our society that you must pay for the service that will be rendered to you? And we are joined and helping us to flesh out the report and understand the spirit and letter behind it is Omar Seidu. He is Director for Social Statistics of the Ghana Statistical Service, helping us to really understand. And then before we just took a dash to talk to you, realized he was laughing at the reality of the situation on the ground. Omar sir, let's look at before we came, when we shared the flyer that we're going to discuss the report and the corruption bid, and some responses we received. I don't know whether where you sit you be comfortable speaking to it, but just the police service has been mentioned. Some asked that we looked at specific institutions that they know that the searchlight must be there. A place that was mentioned was the Lands Commission. That it's serious that we look at. They also mentioned postings with nurses. When you have to be pleased, you have to fill portal, and just to be posted, it's also a gold mine. Others mentioned passport office, but passport office, we are hearing digitalization and things going on there. Was the intention to name and shame, and should a searchlight remain on these institutions that Ghanaians are worried about?
Not necessarily the case. As I indicated, Ghana has signed up to the Sustainable Development Goals, and every year we have to submit reports to Parliament. We have to submit a report to the UN on our performance on the Sustainable Development Goals. And so these two indicators that we have measured in this report are some of the indicators that we have been working on. And I have that responsibility to coordinate the data compilation for monitoring the Sustainable Development Goals. So this particular one, there have been a lot of international work around this, not only in Ghana, and some institutions have been identified across board by UNODC, the UN agency in charge of crime and corruption. And some institutions have already been identified. So those institutions are usually listed. But what we have done in addition, because is over the year, anytime there are these reports and the police service comes up, we felt that we are not helping the management of the police service by not delegating it, because so when we inquired, we're told that these 4 categories, MTTD, CID, the general policing, and BSU, are the key categories within the police service. And so we thought that, well, this time around, instead of putting them all together as a police service, let us have these disaggregations, so that if management of the institution want to see where the problem is more, then they will know where to tackle it more and how they will tackle it. And so we did that. Even when you come to health institutions, we have separated, for instance, the regional health directorate, regional district, and the head office from the health is like the hospitals and clinics. And the idea of separating this is for their institutions to know, in the past, they are lumped up together, so you don't know where the problems are. And so once we disaggregate it by that, then able to say, okay, we have it happening here more than there. For instance, now, if there's a police officer in the it is not so much there compared to those at the CID or MTTD. And so the management of the institutions would probably maybe a bit different. And that is the idea. So, and this is not, we are doing it as a panel survey, and this is the big line. And every 6 months, we are going to go back to the same respondents, over 7,000 respondents, and ask within that 6-month period if they have come into contact with any of those institutions again, and if they have had to pay a bribe. And the idea is institutionalizing this, and once it is institutionalized, every time we do it, it will come up, and we will see over the years whether there has been improvement or not. And this morning I granted an interview to another station, and I was telling them, for instance, Ghana Statistical Service was part of this, and in our case, the respondents, 4% of them indicated that yes, they have had to pay, some form of bribe to access service from the service. Where you
sit, you mean your office? Say, you mean Statistical Service? Your people to take?
Yes, Statistical Service. Yes. So people, yes. 4%. And for us, it is important, right? Because the issue is that you would want to know what is happening. That is the only way you can address it. Yeah, 4% think it is low, but we will need to delve deeper into the data to know. Because as you rightly said, 85% of those who indicated they have paid bribe is money. But there are some who take some other services, other valuables. We need to know what it is that these, in the case of Statistical Service, for instance, that the individuals who came into contact with our officials have had to pay. And so it's a whole thing. And I believe, of course, civil society, including your good selves, taking this up and making, people be aware of this. And not just for one day, because we have published it today, and so we talk about it. consistently hammering on this. I believe this has achieved the results of reducing the incidence of this.
Very well, very well. Omar, is there a list? Because this time around you have disaggregated that of Ghana Police. Which is the next institution that you break down for us to know, and for the institution to be helped to fight it?
Yes. So for instance, we have seen that there are some institutions that are coming up in past surveys. It is not so much in some places. MMDAs, for instance, Metropolitan Municipal and District Assemblies, we have realized among the people mind to give back. MMDAs is the second. Okay? And so if MMDAs is the second, then we would want to delve deeper in future to know, you know, what kind of service it is within the MMDA that, you know, the request for bribes. And so these are things that we'll need to deal with in
the future. Very well. Please, the team too should throw the light on the list the viewers give me. Go to Lands Commission, births and deaths, the registration or portal for nurses being registered and all that. National Health National Identification Authority. As the list is with you, please, the public wants you to put the radar on these people, to put the searchlight on these institutions, and we have confidence that you will do that, and you come back to the public, and we'll see how we are doing well with the fight. Just before we take a quick turn, let me find out from you. Anytime the report comes out, and you share with the public, what has been the impact so far?
I think it has been very good, because we believe that institutions would not want to be the point of discussion and public space of not doing the right things. And so if these kind of reports come up, we believe that heads of institutions take action. And of course, you might not, in some cases, see the results immediately, but with time, and that is the main reason why this time around we decided to do it as a panel, so that every 6 months we would be putting these results out. And then institutions will begin to see whether the policies and the programs they are putting in within their institutions are yielding the results expected. And so, yes, this is not going to be a once-off thing. We would want to institutionalize it, and we would want to engage. And we are happy to engage with institutions more, especially institutions that, you know, the report shows that one way or the other, there are issues. And let me take you back to this point. For instance, we have realized that the fourth most sought after service that came out from this is people going to other countries' embassies, which for me is another issue, because the topmost institution that the public come into contact with is health institutions, doctors, nurses, the health, then followed by educational institutions, public utility organization institutions. Then the fourth is embassies and consular officials of foreign countries.
Mr. Seidu, we'll press the pedal there. Mr. Seidu, we'll press the pedal there. We are very much interested in the fourth institution that you have mentioned, embassies. When we come back from the break, we're going to listen to that presentation. Viewers, so we've been looking at fight against corruption, the Ghana Statistical Service report on bribery and corruption, saying that most Ghanaians have admitted that in their interaction with public sector institutions, they have paid bribes. In some in cases, bribes have been demanded. That is what we are discussing. And you just heard Omar Seidu, he's the Director of Social Service of Ghana Statistical Service. We are delving into the issues. We'll not miss much. I'll take a quick break. When we are back, we'll look at the way forward and how you can be free to access service due you. Stay with us.
This is the time, no more delay. Yes, yes, yes. I'm so excited. This is the time. No more delay. Call a friend to call another that it is time for the young people to connect right here on WTV. Welcome to 𝐲𝐸_CONNECT, where we connect youth to Christ. The future is here.
Praise God, praise God. Christ in tea, you respond, 𝗟𝗩𝐕. I'm excited to announce to you, friends in the Lord, are you seeking for a platform where you can pray? Open baby up a soul bompire. Now ninyami edi inkita home. Bibi chiro so. And amanye bi na be sen kum. And you come home. Let's go into the prayer room on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. to meet seasoned ministers of God that God has raised to impact your life. Remember, John Wesley said, I have too much to do, therefore I spend several hours in prayer in able to do it. That is why we are calling upon you. Meet myself, Reverend Hosea say, and the Evangelism Mission Renewal Directorate as we lead you into the prayer room where we encounter Christ. And I believe your life will never be the same. Call your friends or loved ones every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. where we will encounter Christ. God bless you. See you on our screens on WTV every Friday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. God bless you.
Pray that each and every one of us
Welcome back from the break. If you're just joining us on the stage, today we are looking at corruption. We are looking at the fight against corruption. The Ghana Statistical Service has released a report that shows or reveals that most Ghanaians who have interacted with the public sector service providers or with institutions in the public sector have admitted to paying bribe at a point in time to access essential services. It is a worrying trend. Anti-campaigners say it reflects, as a country, that our fight against corruption is rather at a slow pace. So we are joined by the Director for Social Statistics with the Ghana Statistical Service, Mr. Omar Seidu, helping us to understand the report and look at the realities of the canker, the bribery canker that is confronting us as a people. We have discussed so many issues. He has even admitted that even the panel survey that they conducted even spoke about his own Ghana Statistical Service, that 4% of the respondents said they have even paid bribes to them. The police this time around, they've reported top the institutions, the most corrupt institution, and the approach this time, Mr. Seidu tells us, is that they just don't want to aggregate all the responses. They want to take an institution and then flesh it out and let the subdivisions or departments in the institution know, so that they can tackle the problem from the root cause. That is the approach of this survey. You have missed but not missed, but because Mr. Seidu was sharing with us that the embassies are also places that bribes are paid. From there, we'll look at the way forward. What structural reforms, what attitudinal or behavioral changes must come so that Ghana becomes like the Sweden, the Finland, the Singapores, where we will abhor bribery and corruption. Mr. Seidu, welcome back from the break.
Thank you.
Very well. The bit about the embassies, we are very keen.
Yes, so for instance, we see from the report that 12.4% of the population within the past 12 months have sought services from embassies and consular officials of other countries based in Ghana. But when you look at the proportion who have indicated that they are paid bribe, it's 2.6%, which is very small. So which means that there are structures in these institutions. Though many people are seeking services from them, they have structures to reduce the potential of corruption. And so 2.6%, yes, they may want zero, but as you indicated, is partly also, the individuals who give it. And so we say that, yes, there's low corruption there. But if you look at, for instance, DVLA, 8.6% of the people indicated that they have come into contact with officials of DVLA. But 28% indicated they have had to pay bribe. And so if you look at that relative to what happens with the embassies, then it means that the embassies are doing something that other institutions may want to learn.
Very.
So these are the things. But of course, it also is a problem that if 12.4% of your people are seeking services from other countries' consular offices, then there's a problem, because they go there more than even they go to the district assemblies that are supposed to be providing services to them. Then there's a problem.
Is your lens able to capture whether the private sector is in the same quandrum as the public sector?
Yes, so this one we focus on because in measuring these SDGs indicators, and interestingly, Ghana is one of the, I think, 48 countries this year who would be presenting our voluntary national review at the UN to show how we are performing. And so for the measuring of this, the focus is on public sector institutions. But of course, it does not mean that private sector institutions, this may not be happening there, because it's the same human beings who will be seeking the services of private sector institutions as well. And so, yes, maybe at some point we might have to do some work in there. And for instance, maybe if you delve deeper into the report, you would see that even public sector media houses are mentioned in the report. People assessing services from there. And it does not mean the private media houses are not, but just that this has been the focus of the study. So I do agree with you. At some point, we might want to look at the private sector as well.
Going forward, what solutions will you prefer to these findings so that the heads of these institutions can practically look at making sure that they get rid of this canker?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost thing is that the institutions need to see this in not being an attack on them. It is an opportunity for them to do introspection. And so once these results are out there, they should not necessarily take it that someone is targeting them for the wrongs, but someone is helping them to see what may be happening in their institutions at their blind side, and so they need to take some action. Now, secondly, I think public education for both the citizen and the public institutions are very important, because if people know the services they're supposed to receive, and the fact that when you have to receive these services, you are not expected to pay additional money or to receive those services, then that is the second thing. Then the third thing is institutions would need to put in structures to reduce the human interface in the provision of some of these services. And that would help greatly in reducing that. Then the next one I would mention is there should be a national engagement around this. Because in our generation, this is how we are seeing it. But our children are coming, and in our educational system, how is this set to imbibe ideals in our children to the extent that they will not do what we are doing today? So it's something that I think our whole country needs to be up and
I like the
Thinking of
bit.
how
I
we
like
resolve
the bit. I like the bit, Mr. Omar Seidu. The bit about we doing intensive education, particularly if we could even put it in our curricula, in our educational institutions, because well, the moment you mentioned that, it brought to mind where we'd gone to the supermarket to buy something, and this gentleman who opened the door, and I said thank you. My little girl was asking me, "Daddy, won't you give him anything?" I said, "Give him anything," except for opening the door. So for opening the door for you. So it is really an area, just like you mentioned, the generation coming will think that.
In some countries, it is institutionalized. Giving of tips is institutionalized. It is not a crime to give a tip. And in fact, when you provide a service, they're expecting, if you don't give a gift, you don't give the tip, it's as if you're coming from space, right? So when that is, and it's clear, and it is transparent, the process of that is transparent, because when you give that tip, it's part of the payment, and you indicate if it's 5% tip, is 10% tip, is that it is indicated in there, and you provide it. And so, yes, but in our case, I think the part of it which is a problem is the fact that sometimes without paying it, you might not get the services.
Exactly. That's the unfortunate part. It's an unfortunate part. And I am tempted to share my experience in Japan. In some closed societies, you even give somebody a gift, something, and they wouldn't take it until you have explained the rationale, the reason why you are giving him or her the gift. I was like, is this on earth? Like, because they won't take anything. They should. I was surprised, and it came. I had just gone for a workshop, and I'd bought chocolate, Ghana chocolate, like a souvenir, and offering it to. They wouldn't take it. I had to go and explain why I am giving. I was like, hey, hello, this one you just so it is. There are some societies and some countries, like you said. Some have been institutionalized. It is normal. Other places too. Maybe that is the place where we should be heading to as a people, because it is a deep canker that is eaten into the fabric of society, into the fabric of society. And I'm glad that the findings have really reflected what is happening in our society, and the fact that going forward, other institutions will be. And the most interesting part is the fact that in 6 months, the panel will go back to go and ascertain and ask the same respondents what the issue is as at then. Very well, Mr. Omar Seidu, concluding remarks.
Yes, I thank you very much, and we believe that what you are doing is very important in helping us as a country to do the right things. So we would want to encourage the media in particular to continue to do this and letting the public know of this. The Ghana Statistical Service is a partner to all of us, because if we cannot provide the evidence for us to build a country, then we are certain that the country will never move the way it should move. And so, and in doing this, the media in particular is an important partner, and we will continue to work with you to ensure that we together build the needed evidence to support policy and program implementation in Ghana. And thank you.
Very well. I said the concluding, but before you go, what should we be expecting from your office going forward? More revelations, more findings?
Yes, so in fact, the data, these are just the first highlight. We are delving deeper into some of the issues we have found. For instance, there was one of them that for those who refused, for instance, to pay bribes to elected officials, and that was the elected officials, the percentage for men was about 4%, but the percentage for women was about 13%. So the question I ask is, okay, what was it that they were demanding from the females that they declined to give them? And so these are things that we would delve deeper into the data and we'll put it out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar Seidu. Viewers, that was Mr. Omar Seidu, Director, Social Statistics at the Ghana Statistical Service, helping us to delve into the report that has been released that showed that most Ghanaians have interacted with public sector institutions, have admitted paying bribes at one point in time to access essential services. And worrying development. And this time around, the approach from the statistical department there is that they will focus on one institution and tell where the weaknesses are, so that structural reforms and behavioral changes can go into that. Viewers, we are very grateful. You've always chosen us and you've been with us on the show. We hope the conversation has been beneficial. There are certain places when you go, you wouldn't have to pay this and that to access very essential service. Mr. 𝐴dem Agbole, producer of the state. We are very grateful for the commitment, the service, the professionalism you have brought to this production. God bless you and wish you very well in your endeavors from here. To you, the very Reverend Emmanuel Kwabena Ayi, General Director, Ministries of the Methodist Church, and also Director for the Theological Education by Extension, Very Reverend Dr. Isaac Kakari Osei, 𝐿𝐴𝐓𝐕 Metal, General Course Rep, the TEE of the Trinity, and all TEE students who are returning to campus. Safe journey from all quarters of the globe where you are coming from, those coming from Yeji, Ward, and North, everywhere. All the best, and particularly second year. God bless you and study hard. Alpha Royal, thank you very much. All workers of Alpha Royal, thank you very much for being with us, especially Mr. Emmanuel Efa. Thank you very much, Alpha Royal. We thank you for joining us, and you do have a wonderful weekend. Stay rested, drink enough water. I am Gabriel 𝐊𝐕 𝐊𝐚𝐬𝐞ɛ𝐛ɔ. We are back on Monday. Goodbye.